South Africa is finally waking up to the plight of small businesses. They're recognised as key engines of growth, and small and medium-sized enterprises already account for around 60% of employment in the economy. But for years, they've complained about the burden of red tape and taxes. Business Unity, FNB and others have welcomed a whole host of steps and proposals in last week's budget to support SMEs. Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan also announced that government will spend R6.5 billion to support SMEs over the next 3 years. But SBP says that the budget falls short in some critical respects, and if small businesses are to thrive, much more needs to be done. While SBP is a business environment specialist that closely tracks the development of SMEs. The Chief Executive, Darroll, joins us now. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Francis.
You say that the budget is a departure but not a destination. Why?
Well, essentially the budget is looking more at micro enterprises. So when we talk about small and medium enterprises, we're really talking about those firms that are the ones that actually do produce the jobs and you know, are very much involved in the heart of our economy, whereas micro enterprises are generally around small and startups.
And micro you define sort of with a turnover of R1 million or less?
Well, you know, if you look at the taxman's focus on some of the incentives that he's proposing, the turnover tax, for example, looks at firms that turn over less than R1 million per annum. So we're talking, when we talk about micros, we're probably talking about formal businesses, but we're talking about very, very small firms.
So clarify, what you're saying is that the slightly bigger small businesses or small to medium big, and the slightly more established ones, maybe the even less exciting ones, are the ones that are actually creating jobs.
They are creating jobs.
What do those look like?
The SME Growth Index, which is our big survey, which we run annually, tracks 500 firms in the manufacturing and business services and tourism sectors. And so you're looking at, you know, generally manufacturers that are employing between 10 to 49, 50 employees, same in the business services, and also we focus on tourism firms that do exactly the same. So you're looking at firms that have a turnover around about, you know, between 11 to 17 million rand per annum, and those are small and medium-sized enterprises.
Okay, so some tax cuts, no tax on grants, some other initiatives announced in the budget. Does it at least help them?
Yes, it goes a long way. I think that some of the initiatives that the minister came out with, particularly around the equity financing, you know, giving tax incentives to firms that are going to invest in equity in companies, I think is a you know, really good step. But it's not just about focusing on small micro firms. It's about understanding that, you know, firms go through a process of growth, and within that continuum, as we call it, in terms of the size and the age of a firm, it needs and they require different types of incentives along the way, and not just tax incentives, although that does go a long way to help. You know, the VAT issue, payment on VAT is a big critical issue for small and medium-sized firms, because essentially firms pay their VAT on invoice and not on receipt. So when you have creditors that are 60 to 80
before
days,
you get the money in.
Exactly, exactly, and that is a critical challenge for cash flow.
And just the red tape. Small businesses have complained about the forms they fill in. So the Davis Commission did, I understand, recommend one form, one return rather than 2 per year. That sort of thing, is it helping, and what more can we do?
Well, one hopes it does. You know, the Davis Commission, obviously there needs to be quite a lot of discussion around some of the incentives that have come through, but red tape is a critical challenge. We've identified in the 2012 survey that red tape accounted for about 4 to 6% of turnover for firms, and in our 2013, you know, it's the equivalent of 8 working days that you're spending on dealing with red tape. A lot of it is attributed to SARS, and the red tape that SARS comes out with. But it's not just the red tape, it's the administrative inefficiencies. You know, for example, changing all sorts of forms, changing their processes, etc. So it's really about concentrating on making it easier to do business. And being open for business.
All right, so at least steps for now in the right direction.
Steps in the right direction, little ones.
Thank you. That was Chief Executive of SBP, Chris Darroll. And that, unfortunately, all we have time for this evening. I'll be back with all your